So I made a video comparing Azure Lane and KanColle a few months ago, and it got a lot of attention. So much attention, in fact, that an admin from the KanColle wiki approached me through DMs and gave me more insight about the game. Having learned a lot about KanColle, I decided to make a video specifically on the franchise, its history, and its current situation. I'll also be discussing them in two different perspectives. One is from the admin, Totaku's perspective, and the other is mine. And the last would be the audience, you guys. So before I begin, let me just repeat, I am a big fan of the franchise. I've been playing for 3 years and I still think the ship waifus are hot, especially Kashima. We good? Okay, let's talk about the rise and fall of KanColle. So for now, Totaku covered about KanColle's history and why it's so grounded to Japan and why it will probably never see itself outside of it. So once upon a time, background somewhere between 2010 or 2011, a man named Kensuke Tanaka established a doujin group named Situ Kikan. Situ was a doujin circle that mainly created various doujins centered around gourmet food and cooking served around Japan. So eventually, Tanaka began work on a unique project that would ultimately slowly begin paving the way toward the Navy part of the franchise. So it created this thing called Shinfuku Volume 1, and it was one of the first major books to focus on the naval theme. So the book mainly covered about Kure Naval District and Yokosuka Naval District. Some info behind the base's history, as well as some food, are as it was originally made, that are made there or well known there. So eventually, Tanaka's otaku side began to manifest in the doujin circle, and they would churn out some naval books for a couple of years. But during one point, while Kensuke Tanaka worked in DMM, I forgot which job it was taking, he brought his doujin work at his workstation, at his job. So the CEO was kind of noticing how Tanaka was really tired, and he briefly looked at what he was looking at, and he kind of spotted a project about World War II Shipgirls, and so the CEO asked Tanaka about it, and then he talked about it. So he was going to make a doujin series called Kantai Collection, which was going to be a series of books featuring anthropomorphized shipgirls and covering their history. But the CEO saw the greater potential from this franchise, or this Kantai collection idea, and pushed Tanaka to make a game out of it. So through some connection work and through some more otaku related stuff, Kensuke Tanaka managed to make an establishment with Kadokawa, and somehow an agreement was made to produce the game called Kantai Collection. The game was originally called Kantai Collection under the name of, obviously, Kadokawa, but that would change over time because then there would be difficulties, as you would see later on. If you want to see more on the history of KanColle, then I'll put every link in the description below if you're interested. So anyway, after the agreement was made by Tanaka, so they set out to begin bringing in a crew of people, and they began a search for some people in the doujin community to help him make his Shipgirl project come to life. So Totaku didn't really know how the process was made, but I think he thought that the artists that were selected were asked to do a Fubuki test for a placement. So what they would do is to create a character that would be called Fubuki. But we all know that Shibaku got the position for the Fubuki, but that wasn't the idea at first, because the design for Fubuki was very different. Originally, this picture that you see right here was the original Fubuki. However, Tanaka was like, no, this doesn't look like a Fubuki. This looks like Shimakaze. And I don't know where he got that, but basically that's how this character turned into this character. Yeah, quite a change, right? Anyways, now let's move forward to 2013. Now, almost everything in KanColle was finalized, so we got all of the character designs, we got all the progress, we got all the coding, etc, etc. And the game was finally released on DMM on April 23rd, 2013. So, KanColle wasn't really that popular first because it was just small and people thought it was gonna end in about a year. But then something big happened in the summer of 2013 that would just help KanColle blow up. And it was called specifically as the Hiraku Shock. So I'll put the link in the description again. So basically, if you know Kota Hirano, I talked about him in my previous videos. He was the one who made Hellsing. And he also made a cameo in High School of the Dead. I don't really remember. So basically, Kota Hirano raged on Twitter for losing a Kaga ship. And people just started taking interest in the game because, wow, this really big mangaka suddenly kept talking about this unfamiliar game, and if Kota Hirano really likes it, then maybe it is a good game. And this would ultimately change KanColle beyond its naturally anticipated size, which result in the lottery system, which most other players recall experiencing when they're trying to join KanColle. Well, KanColle attempted to salvage this by slowly adding in servers to help build the player base. While that was going on, Tanaka was also working behind the scenes. It was more about keeping all of the new players together. And then while that was in place, Tanaka was working on the rights to KanColle, because again, KanColle was held by Kadokawa at the time. So because Tanaka saw the potential of KanColle as it was growing fast, and the agreement was, and so because of that, Tanaka wanted to gain the rights to the name and the game. So after some negotiations, and agreement was supposedly made, wherein KanColle would be in this kind of three-way deal. So there was this three partnership deal. There was C2, that was also where Tanaka is, the game creators, and then there was KanColle. There was Kadokawa, so who owned the rights, and then DMM, who was hosting the game, the browser game. So now that we have these three companies, do not forget them because they are major characters in this story. So anyway, going from there, KanColle started continuing to grow. And while, it started as this small naval game, it started getting big in Japan. Over time, KanColle in Japan grew and began to expand its franchise outside of Japan. And because of that, the anime was established, and the very, very bad Vita version, the PS Vita version game, and here's the cover. It was really bad. I saw the previews and it's really bad. And because of that, they struck a deal with Sega to make an arcade version, which I have cards of, as you see here. Yeah. But outside of this, there was many other things that KanColle did. So one of those things would be holding an annual KanColle convention known as the KanColle Naval Review, which kind of served as a major seiyuu gathering or voice acting gathering and an information dumping zone. And they also did promotional deals with small snack companies, and they grew up beyond, just that thing, because it became the most brand name of, it became a brand name actually, not just a brand name of something, but a brand name by itself. And because of since the summer of 2013, Kantai Collection has partaken in a series of promotional collaborations in which Kadokawa Games made special deal with various companies to work together to promote their franchises in various ways. So they go to all of the things. So they go to Lawson's, they've went to Mitsukoshi, they've went to advertise clothing stores. They've gone for why am I saying this? They've advertised fish restaurants. They've advertised food chains. They've just been everywhere, and you can see this from here's a picture of their collab in Lawson, the folder thing. Yeah, that was cool. So they had a lot of festivals during their phase 2, wherein by the way, phase 2 is like it's like when they changed their own the mechanics of the whole game. They changed from from browser to Flash, I think, if I remember correctly. So they changed a lot of things. They changed the graphics and such, and they even had an arcade version, which is pretty good. And apart from that, they also expanded quite a lot, and they went with a Zuyun festival, and then they had a collab with Mitsukoshi, wherein skins of characters like Kashima and Haruna had Mitsukoshi clothes and stuff. And they even have 1x1 scales, which they showed in each of their respective places. For example, Zuyun is there's a figure of Zuyun in Zuyun. Wow, look at that. That was weird. And there was even, not kidding, there was what do you call this? KanColle on ice. Not kidding. It's a real thing. It's like Disney on Ice, but for battleships. It sounds weird, but it exists, and it happened during July 14th to 15th, 2018, in Chiba, of all the places. Wow. And surprisingly, the ones who participated in the KanColle on Ice thingy were very popular. Like, for example, the Olympic silver medalist Midori Ito. And you don't really see that much. Like, wow, look at this guy. He's participating in a KanColle event. And obviously that would rise to KanColle's popularity as well. And not only that, they also had the play, or I guess a circus performance, where they just go around the world. So it was called Great Abyssal Circus, and yeah, it was called Great Abyssal Circus Adventures in Wonderland, and it was imagine Alice in Wonderland but with battleships. Which is awesome, I guess. There was a lot of things as well. So there was obviously the arcade game, which I really have to talk about next time and maybe review it, because I play the game, I have a lot of cards, and I still haven't talked about it. So yeah, a lot other events would be the Sasebo Naval Tour, where instead of just being a normal naval base tour, they added KanColle characters as their models. So wow, look at that. They just made everything waifus, and that just made a boost in tourism popularity. It's like so weird, but it works. So yeah, because of that, Sasebo's tourism I don't know much about economics, but like their economics rose a little bit because of that. And so because of that, a lot of people knew about Sasebo. Actually, that's where we took our first JLPT exams in Sasebo. So yeah, that was pretty cool, I guess. And then I think last but not least, they did the JSDF, or Japan Defense Forces collaboration. Yeah, their own defense forces used KanColle to promote themselves. No kidding. It's like, whoa, what the heck is this? There's even a Hashtagram thing. What is going on? I mean, it works. It works. Well, it works, I guess. And you know, if you're using these kinds of things to promote your I guess jobs, that it works. I mean, who wouldn't want to see a really cute girl as a battleship? Man, this is getting weirder and weirder and weirder. So anyway, you had Sei's performing. You had all the KanColle girls band group singing, and then the actual ship was also there, and you could Kaga, the real ship, is there. Which actually leads me to remember. I think Akagi was retrieved last year. I forgot the news about that. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. It's yeah. Anyway, it's been very big and very small, but anyway, that's how KanColle became popular in Japan. Oh, now let's talk about how it never went outside of Japan. So one of the major reasons KanColle may never get to come outside of Japan, at least in Totaku's perspective or the wiki's perspective, is because the game, along with the entire franchise, has been grounded to the roots of Japan, as the game, along with these live events, have been a unique symbolism of trying to remember and honor the IJN ships that sunk in the past, while letting their legacy continue to live through the ships of today's era and the Japanese Navy. Basically, this is the game that was made entirely for the Japanese audience, and just mainly the Japanese audience. And most likely they had no interest to cater to those outside of Japan by bringing the game outside of Japan itself. So yeah, but that doesn't mean that the developers don't pay attention to foreign audiences, because there have been some evidences they have a foreign audience that really do support them. Now, you can take this with a grain of salt. At least that's what Totaka said to me. Whatever. So there was a rumor that there was an attempt to bring KanColle to Taiwan, but something happened. Nobody knows what actually happened, and yeah, negotiations failed. So they couldn't bring KanColle to Taiwan because the story supposedly DMM wanted too much of the revenue if they wanted to put the game outside of Japan, because like 35% of their profits would be made from the game, and that's a lot. If DMM makes 35% just from KanColle alone, that's a pretty big investment already, which is probably way higher than most companies have ever asked for a share of the profits. And I think Fate Grand Order at least takes 20% of the share of that. But yeah, don't take this one seriously because there's not enough evidence for this. So if you're asking, what does KanColle do with the foreign fan base? So the thing is, they do something, but it's not a lot, since the priority is Japan first and foremost, since again the game itself centers around remembering the IGN on the most part. But the implementation of Phase 2 came the release of a partial English UI system, which was made specifically for the foreign gamers or foreign players in mind. So you can play KanColle in the English version, but again, this is more of a beta version. I haven't tried it myself, so I can't really tell you if it works. Also, during the second phase, while this is more related to Tanaka doing the voice actress for American British ships, because how are you gonna use American British ships to voice the ships? What? But yeah, how are you gonna use the ships to voice American and British ships? So obviously you're going to hire someone from America or British, but they instead just chose someone from Australia because I guess it was close and the parents were mainly Japanese. So the VA was about 18 when she moved to Japan, and she became a voice actress, and that's where she started. Anyway, it's not very important, but yeah, Warspite, Royal Navy, and Gambier Bay are just 3 of the characters that she voiced in the game. So there's, I guess, a little bit of opening up to foreign fan base. So anyway, this voice actor, I guess Uchida Shu, I should just name her anyway, has mentioned that the KanColle fan base, or the foreign fan base, uh, she was part of it, I guess. She was part of this fan base, and it's like she took the job and she wanted everyone to know about KanColle and that there are foreign audiences outside of Japan that like KanColle. So, thanks to this, again, KanColle gave a boost, but this time not just in Japan, but kind of around the world. So it was a really, really big deal. Now this is now where the company properties come to play, because again, KanColle is a three-way property. It's with Tanaka, with Kadokawa, and with DMM. So even if, for example, because there was a time wherein Tanaka wanted to give this to the foreign audiences. However, with DMM being extremely strict about releasing KanColle to the foreign audience, and Kadokawa probably getting a big portion of the manga and the magazine, I don't think that it was enough, I guess, because again, this is a three-way company, and most of the time it's just going to, all of the results or all of the profit is gonna go three-way anyway, so whether you like it or not, it's still gonna stay in Japan unless something happens. But again, if you manage to win over the heart of Japan's own navy with a game franchise, you're doing something incredibly right. And as you pretty much have made a game that's become a symbolism of your own nation in a way, so yeah, I guess you take it how you will. But according to Totaku, KanColle is such a strong and respected ground in Japan, and how it has been collaborating and launching the careers of seiyus in Japan, bringing celebrities and earning the trust of Japan's navy. Like, there's no simple way for KanColle to ever step foot outside of Japan. For it to come outside of Japan, it would probably do some kind of changes, I don't know. Especially for a game of its type that is very grounded in World War II history. KanColle in and of itself is a very different beast. And according to Totaku, he generally finds it hard to compare it to Azur Lane, which is more of a fantasy or sci-fi like theme with some small World War II themed relations thrown in. Basically, KanColle has always been heavily grounded into World War II history in the strongest way possible, and you can probably tell that just alone by looking at the themes of the events, the designs of the characters, and even their dialogue. So you could say it's more of the military enthusiast for sure. And to end this, there's going to be apparently a second movie about KanColle. I know the first one is pretty but the second movie is apparently going to be about the end of the war, so there may be something that might be good, and I might make a video on it, I don't know. But we'll see. But anyway, that's pretty much everything Totaku wanted to talk about KanColle's connection in Japan and why it can only be solely in Japan. But yeah, if you want to see more of the history, I'll put the link of the wiki in the description below. It's mind-blowing, I guess, to see that, wow, a lot have happened ever since then, since I guess 2013 all the way here, because it's still going, the game is still going, and I think it's still gonna continue to grow until, well, people grow tired of battleships, but probably that'll never happen, I don't know. But yeah, that was Totaku's perspective, and that's pretty brief history. I don't know if it's a brief, this video is probably very long now, but yeah, that has been the history of KanColle and its rise, and I wouldn't say fall, I would probably just put it in like open close parenthesis, cause it still haven't opened up to Japanese to foreign audience, but we can still hope. We can still hope that it might happen. So other than that, that's the end of the video. By the way, before I end this video, I just bought Azur Lane Crosswave, so I'll probably stream it and give my own review about it. So if you want me to compare the KanColle console game and Azur Lane Crosswave, then leave a like, and also subscribe down there for more videos like this. Anyway, that has been vanilla, not the flavor, but just sweet.